Sanje Chedan Soje Chonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Japsu Taki Jinso Jebesan Lola Benjir Sanje Drubarajo Sanje Chedan Soje Chonam La Chanjo Bardo Jendaki Jinso Jebesan Namjen Lola Benjir Sanje Drubarajo Sanje Chedan Soje Chonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Taki Jinso Jebesan Kola Penja Sanje Drubarajo Simchen Tamjen Dewa Dan Deve Judan Demba Dunga Dunga Ge Judan Dawa Juje Dunga Lamebe Dewa Tam Mindrawa Juje Nyere Chadan Yedan Tanyo Tseme Bala Neva Juje Nijeje Bozede Nimeshi Sunan Manamishi Bongaja Begatanga Zendeshimbo Demba Tuchi Jana Chazalo Demba Lame Sanje Rinpoche Yoba Lame Sanje Rinpoche Demba Lame Gender Jamne Gunjo Sumla Chazalo Da Rinpoche Ge Da Kanangre
Well, Rinpoche gave a command, so I have no choice but to give a teaching. We are all students of the same teacher. In one sense, in the general sense, actually, all of us are followers of the teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. But in addition to that, in a more specific way, all of us have many times together received teachings from the same Lama, so that makes us Dharma family. So there's no division of some of us being better and others of us worse. We're all the same. Every morning we are reciting together the Treasury of Blessings practice.
투조 단 Chokyi Kwaya Buyogenge Chiduni Tujo Chilabdi Be Zachambuji Tongyore.
And actually, if we really have a profound understanding of the Dharma teachings, the teachings here in this sadhana are actually tremendously profound. The words of the text are tremendously profound. In fact, we can think of it as something that would be suitable to be our practice for this whole life. Just this. And on the basis of just this practice, the sadhana of Shakyamuni, it is possible to attain the state of awakening.
Worship ching the book is Towaji and Water. Marang Minyam Jungche, Sanje Zachem Puch, Choba Puch, Mambu Sinchi, Mimambulayang, comfortable in your mother.
The Matsuki Denijovichi Samna the name.
Me that Shung Tesam Yagumeng and the Zoo, let Tambo so. And the Tujo the Tayon, this worship feeling like to this young combative Shiramido.
Sometimes for some people who are beginning practitioners who haven't studied so extensively, when they encounter this practice, sometimes they feel a little bit uncomfortable in the sense that it's kind of like worship, right? Like the Buddha, I'm down here and the Buddha's there and making offerings and prayers. And for some people, especially for beginning practitioners, sometimes that feeling can be a little bit uncomfortable.
or no so attraction, whatever. So, exciting
So then people aren't so excited about doing the Shakyamuni sadhana sometimes.
아니 다 투조 칠랍들즈디 아니 아주 장고 매번 룸부지기 공개 다 잠샤바지래.
This particular sadhana for the practice of Shakyamuni, the Treasury of Blessings, was composed by Mipa Rinpoche, Jamgo Mipa Rinpoche.
매번 룸부지 코란게 대가스 티샤죠 가야 말에 상제기 도로 도된존에다 배잖아 또 야지로와 띵엔진 야부 팔부체 라 소바 상제기도 망부기 공부 참 제수 닝부 나올리네 당아둘라 냠네 제답되고 주드네 대마정아 스토지나라 차상 용에서 소샤와래.
And it's not that Mipa Rinpoche just kind of made it up. Actually, he really brought together the intent of many sutras, the Lalita Vistara Sutra, Samadhi Raja Sutra, the Gandavyuha Sutra, really bringing together the heart of the intention of these sutras and putting them together into a practice. It's only about 15 pages long, actually, but a way in which the real intent of many different sutras is brought together in a way that we can easily put it into practice.
아니 되게 투표 칠랍때 저기 잡추 아니 매바로 보지 내가지도 안딜라 파제 데마 지동 니야스다고 되게 자체문 나오셔도 잡추 담지배만 까보선 저래 지동 데마 지동 니양합실스도.
And then as a supportive text in relation to this sadhana, Mipa Rinpoche also wrote a kind of a commentary that's 1,200 pages long that contains the supportive instructions and sort of supportive text for this practice. It's called the White Lotus.
안텔라야 되게 düdün 다부지다 잡지 등구 친서 무지개 사래요. 도저 되게 잡지 단지배만 까보 düdün 다우양 유용지 잡지 등구 친서 무지개 직제샤도.
And that larger text by Mipa Rinpoche, there's also a sort of a text that condenses the main points of the meaning of that, composed by Gyabje Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, that sort of condenses the main parts of this larger supportive text by Mipa Rinpoche, which again supports the practice of this sadhana.
다칠 안에 투족 질럼들지기다 다 자원다보디 실라기 냠내체라래.
And really, we can say that the root of the practice of the Treasury of Blessings is the practice of shamatha and vipassana, these two.
대마세 지당 상제기 까탐제 또나 냠렌 탐제 실라게 레 로스지버지 냠렌지 제제자 용말.
And actually, we could say that when it comes to the real core of all of the Buddha's teachings, there is nothing apart from the practice of shamatha and vipassana. 100%, we can say that for sure.
아주 착지 산나양 신에게 냠내 돈에 착사리요. 레 탐보가지나 아니 레다 득스 냠내라 템바타고지나 착지 산나야 학동의 돈에 착사리요.
Even a single prostration, a beginning practitioner to do a single prostration, that act also involves the practice of shamatha. And for somebody who has reached a higher level of experience in their practice, then for that person, they can do a prostration with the practice of vipassana.
대간나신 라강라 장마소에 처방푸에 꼬라잡에 면독푸에 라속과 함제전터라 나랑기 다 rumbuji 송와를 somebody 꿀롱디 계획이 지스나 류마기 물주 류마 예수 물주 탐제 말로가 신내다 하우돈데 록수도 도사지 가가지고 되게 잘래만 갈투고요.
And so actually anything that we do, cleaning the temple, making offerings, offering flowers, doing a circumambulation, any of those practices, whatever it is that we're doing. As Rinpoche said this morning, we have always to bring a pure motivation to that practice. And if we do that with a pure motivation, whatever virtuous deed we engage in, physically, verbally, mentally, whatever it is actually, if we're practicing with that kind of pure motivation and we put it into practice, we are practicing also shamatha and vipassana. There's no act, actually, no practice that we could do that is outside of that framework.
Tene ta chijagi mimangbuji dombadelang sangasenshela gauyo mare gomjala gauhira yore nganzu yang sharjokba ta pebadang dubadang nebali lasoba mangbuji gomjaedi tangchek yore chakchayada negoldoeda dombadelaya be gauyore.
A lot of Western people are not so into all of this, like reciting a practice and all of this kind of banging around and this kind of all of that stuff. Not so motivated by these kind of practices, but like to do meditation. That's what Westerners often like. And then Eastern practitioners, meaning Nepalese and Bhutanese and people from this part of the world, tend to not be so interested in doing meditation, but they really like going on pilgrimage and doing prostrations and doing all sorts of things like that, actually.
네, 다 지자 속에 다 넘바 망보드나 다 검자에 지즈메도 지즈부라 톨라도도 나만보다 넘바 망보드 굴주 망보신 검자에 지즈지에메도 쓰더니 한 건도 셈들라 배 헤시테션 쇼좀 비리거든.
A lot of Westerners also have kind of a feeling or a hesitation when it comes to the practice. If we have to recite all this stuff, we have to chant all this, and we have to recite all these mantras, we don't have time to meditate. Where's the meditation time? We run out of time. We have to move around and do this and do that and recite this and chant that. Then there's no time for meditation. A lot of people actually have that kind of hesitation about practice.
되네 아주 양 다 샤르족바 mambuji gom스디지 미야 냠레 냠도바 톰부지 잡여다고 나도 레 탐보석이 하디 로레 대바 잡부지 선양 배 humble 체타네 딜라 그랩 체트요 말에.
And then a lot of Eastern practitioners from the East, think of meditation as being something that's like a very high level of practice, only for somebody who has very, very high level of practice and experience. And so then they're so humble and have a feeling that, I couldn't possibly even do that. And so then they don't take up those kind of practices.
대인도 당보 당아주 곰생의 다 된다라고도 먼저 약화하고야지 내셔보지 잘요.
So actually, one thing that's so important is that from the very beginning, we have a really good understanding of what is meant by meditation.
지당 곰스치 코란랑 진지 다 샘디 율라 마양와센지 일레지 미고지 숨에질라 곰다우지 않고요.
So in general, we can say that meditation refers to not getting distracted by other things, but keeping the mind one-pointedly attentive and focused on something. That's one way of understanding what is meant by meditation. And the word samadhi has the sense, or we sometimes translate that as meditative concentration, has the sense of one-pointed attentiveness.
아니 양 찍라 되니 시월에 숨만나시래 곰바마이 곰바이.
And then in another way we can understand, like the Master Shantideva said, it's not about meditation, it's about getting used to something, familiarizing yourself with something.
다 문에 지나다 아주 곰잡이든 소우디 다 곰시지잖아요. 시월에 곰바다도 내기 오래 아마 샘디 날 시신 두와지메디 된 년부지 때문에 들었더니 샘 시신 두와라 곰지체지로 나는데 곰바스.
And that is really a helpful way for us to understand meditation, actually, in the sense of getting used to something. habituating ourselves to something, creating positive habits, in beginning with a state in which we're not very tame, in which we're not very calm, but habituating ourselves, getting used to being a certain way, which creates a situation in which we become more and more tamed, more and more calm. Getting used to that, that's a way that we can understand what is meant by meditation, also fits with exactly what Shantideva said.
That is the Then also Tatagi Shivare and Sanjigi that Nyamlengi tap courage in a tamje Shilale lawsuit Yomare Sumbaro.
And also, again, any of the practices, the methods that are taught by the Buddha, we can say there is no method taught by the Buddha that is not somehow part of shamatha and vipassana.
Tende ta kulungdi samba number tabo ge semna ta tagishivare domba mamboden luji lungage gulje chembu chingajinaya tona 시내암 학동 가무질 랩투고 요래 오 대간나시 넘바 되라 매바 매게 그저 이기 배조도 숙천부 룡하게 굴질라 시라레와 미장에 된조 있나요 삼바디 굴웅디 넘버 타와진스나 시라 가무질 랩투고 요래다.
But in short, we can say actually that if our motivation is pure, if we have a genuinely pure motivation, then if we're doing practices that involve a lot of chanting, a lot of recitation, a lot of movement, physical and verbal movement and activity, if we're doing it with a pure motivation, then we will end up within the practice of shamatha or vipassana in that practice. We will get there through that method. And if we are someone who is not so interested in doing all these physical and verbal things, if we don't have that kind of interest or inclination, and we're much more interested in only training in a way that focuses the mind, then also, again, as long as our motivation is pure, that will bring us to shamatha or vipassana, one or the other. So in either case, we end up in the same place.
Chi nambala tizuni galdardabuji yorete enaya
in terms of how they appear outwardly, they may appear different, in fact, even contradictory. But in terms of where they take us to the same place. Isn't that the case? And in fact, that's why we can say that the Buddha is so incredibly compassionate and skillful. Despite the fact that beings are so different and have so many different inclinations, he taught in different ways that all lead us to the same place.
세니스나를 그런 게 전자부디 가르치고 열었으나 티디도 나라 아니 샘 개발라 미과 째지도 내봐
So what then is the definition of shamatha that we find in the instruction manuals on meditation practice? What is meant by shamatha? The definition is that it is to keep the mind resting one pointedly on a virtuous object. That's what is meant by shamatha. So we talk about shamatha, if we were to translate that term, we might translate it as calm abiding. And in fact, that is what it means, that the mind abides or remains in a state of calm. What keeps our mind from remaining calmly? What keeps our mind from abiding calmly? Well, it's when we are motivated by the negative emotions, and with the motivation of the negative emotions, we do things physically, verbally, mentally, then that's non-virtue, right? And what non-virtue does is that it disturbs our mind. And when our mind is disturbed, it can't abide calmly.
다 대인디 되게 독촉 년보디 샘 개와라 미고 제지도 내봐.
And the opposite of that, the remedy for that, is to keep the mind remaining one-pointedly on something.
대인디 당가랑라 개베기 군도 가르지 연나야 다 되나 칸에 넘바드에 여기 차사에 라서봐 샘 다들 상마 되나 고 꿀맛다고 저래 꿀맛다고라 살დებ다고 자기요 대인디 샘디 개월은 네트고요 자 꿀웅데 상부건에 류기 굴제체 나게 내제체나야 다고 디 꿀맛다고 자기요 꿀맛 대비운데 샘디 시원 네트고요 고 발제 단계요 말 꿀웅데 뭔도 송상워라.
And so when we have that kind of virtuous thought, then meaning a virtuous motivation, then whatever we do, whether we're reciting something with our voice, chanting, or if we're physically doing something like a prostration, we have that kind of inspiration of a positive attitude, a positive motivation. And that inspiration then makes whatever we do virtuous. It allows us to remain within a virtuous state, focused on that virtuous state. So again, the motivation itself, having a pure motivation as the inspiration for what we do physically and verbally, can bring us into this state of calmly abiding, remaining, resting one-pointedly on a virtuous object and not getting caught up in the obstacles to that kind of practice.
됐다 여기 샘디 시월네 쓰도나 다 가서는 아주 다 가서는 아주 들라고다 다 장보라고.
장보.
장보시나 honest.
You mean like that? Yeah. Okay. When we remain in a state of calm abiding, when the mind remains calmly, then that's actually a very honest, sincere state, isn't it?
안 되게 judgment이 딱 봐야 고쳐. 샘디 장보였나? 나도 judgment이 장보치요.
And so when our mind itself is in a state which is honest and sincere, then the judgments that we make with the mind out of that place are also going to be honest and sincere. And that allows us to know the natural state of the way things actually are, correctly. From that place we can. And that is vipassana, right?
샘디 찹잡네 야구 저디 잘라 가르는 딱딱 야구 통거래 시험마도 양 잘라 현섭 통거도 샘디 찹잡지야 되더니 잘라 내열을 가지잖아 통거요 말 그래도 자그리고 샘디 빼 랑랑랑랑 내열아 샘디 러부에디 가르는 딱 야구 통거래요.
So when our mind is very calm and at ease, we're able to very clearly and directly see whatever it is that we are directing ourselves towards. We can see it very clearly. But when our mind is really all over the place, very kind of jumping here and there and not remaining calmly, even if something is sitting right there, right in front of us, sometimes we don't even see it. Isn't that the case? So when our mind is calm, then we can see so clearly whatever it is that we direct our attention to, as opposed to the mind bouncing, jumping all over the place and not being able to see something right in front of our own nose. And that's why it said in the instruction manuals, if the mind remains calmly, that is, if we have shamatha, then we are able to see clearly. That is to say, we are able to practice vipassana.
contemplation 당보 제검제 아니 다들 조금 내 차는데 내가 저런 남자 로스나 되게 여러 마도양 다 가서를 맹나다스나 되잖아 되게 말이죠.
So when it comes to vipassana, sometimes it's described as the mind that completely or perfectly discerns phenomena. And so that then sounds often to people like a type of contemplation. And of course, in fact, we do often begin with an analytical meditation. But the analytical meditation then becomes the basis for a resting meditation. So we can apply the term correctly or fully discerning, perfectly discerning phenomena in either one of those cases. But sometimes when we hear that in terms of the definition, it makes sense. But when we come to the aspect of the way in which we train with the pith instructions, and sometimes we can feel it doesn't fit actually.
따라기 온라인 메디테이션라 vipassana 당부 조금요래 조금제란 조금로 시작이요.
And so that's how we do also in the Tara, the online Tara's Triple Excellence meditation practice. First, we begin with an analytical meditation, but then the analytical meditation leads us next into a resting meditation.
다 대간나신 되니 야, 다 맹하게 룩, 다 된줄라 배샤나 묘귀디 다 학동 거면 뭐라 다 참징제다 묘귀디 라면 안주도 숙청부 지기요. 다 라면 안주도양 되니 고 시내지 차요.
And so sometimes also we begin with the progression of training in devotion and actually guru yoga before coming to the practice of vipassana. It comes that way in the system of this program as well. And in that sense, when we think of it in that way, the guru yoga practice is actually a form of shamatha that we engage in as a support for and before coming to the practice of vipassana. So that's the style of the pith instructions, practicing in accordance with the pith instructions. So then guru yoga doesn't become just some kind of nonsense. It actually has a very important point. Because I mentioned that because also there's a lot of people who sometimes get a little tired with the guru yoga practice.
Tibetan Buddhism
Some people say Tibetan Buddhism is not even Buddhism, it's Lamaism. There's all this guru yoga stuff, right? But actually, that practice is a form of shamatha. It is precisely shamatha practice, in fact.
Oh, degi tebada mögüdila teni lagdong nabrameda hoyeshidi aranjula pogiyor.
And through that kind of faith and devotion that we cultivate in that way, then that makes the non-conceptual wisdom of vipassana pierce us, hit us, penetrate us through the faith and devotion that we have cultivated in order through that practice, actually. So sometimes it's mentioned all of the philosophies arise as or appear as pith instructions. That's when we get to that point. And then the realization of the Buddha and an accomplished practitioner is the same.
도기 람나도 나이나를 하와도 상하게 냠len지 지근지나 람마 야고시 맨나 탑시 엄마 람마 인지무지 야고지 고고요.
And so in that way, when we make progress, then eventually that's where we end up. But whatever path we are following, whether it's the path of the sutra or especially in the path of Vajrayana, when it comes to Vajrayana, there's really no way to do it without a good guru. we have to have a guru, and it has to be a good guru. It's just there is no other way in the Vajrayana without that.
나가지는 소원하시래 출내 퇴단 삼바당 곰발라니 rab도 조르스.
Just like Nagarjuna said, we begin remaining first in a state of discipline. We study and reflect, and then put that into our experience, bring that into our experience through meditation.
뒤인데 사람은 뭐지야? 되니 아주 다 가서래 타나야 미교 주딜라 아주 가즈이나야 awareness 삽삽 상말라마가나야 간들 디 말한게 별지다나 디게 말에 삼서와디 아주 창마다 직신을 깔 하고 있는 거 아주 habit이 열어 검시디 열어 좀제면아야 준시하고라 나도 두스를 오늘 좀제나 준시한데 좀제 매발라 시하고 룩수지 열다 habit요 얘도 가즈이나야 간다 샘들라 디체나 디마레 삼바 feeling지 아주 고그래 안디 feeling 라데네 딱 수수기 가즈 투득지 셔야 불아 제도는 안게 탐벌 나야 가즈 투득지 셔
And so at the very least in our practice we have to begin with avoiding the 10 non-virtues to whatever extent we are able. To really do it perfectly 100%, obviously that would be best, but we have such a strong habit of engaging in those kind of negative deeds that it's maybe difficult for us to fully and completely avoid all of the 10 non-virtues all the time. But at the very least, we should acknowledge that there are things that we shouldn't do, right? We should often, actually, we have such a habit of lying. I mean, it's one thing if it's like something that is done with a positive intention, or with some kind of, intention, but we lie without even thinking about it, right? So many pointless lies sometimes. And to at least sort of switch our perspective to viewing these negative things as negative and paying attention and thinking, oh, that's something that I shouldn't do. Of course, it would be best if we could fully and completely avoid any of the 10 non-virtues. But if that's too much to ask, at the very least, we have to be aware and really, as much as we possibly can, try to avoid those non-virtuous deeds. That's not something that the Buddha just made up. These are sort of like natural laws, actually. And, of course, maybe it's not everybody's able to do it all the time, but anybody would rejoice in and admire someone who avoids those non-virtuous deeds, right? And it's important that we know that, because otherwise we might think, oh, well, this is just like the Buddha's command and therefore I have to do it just because the Buddha said there's some kind of rule or law. But it's not like that at all.
Healthy living
and so whether we're, this is what makes us have a life which is healthy, living in a healthy way. It depends on whether we're actually following or not following this kind of conduct.
Rinpoche kadina sungyola, and moment by moment, happy and healthy.
And Rinpoche says, doesn't he, so often that we need to live moment by moment, happily and healthily. No? We do.
Oh, they indi ta kandana tagi team nakajunagi dichinda team geshere, suldim de geshere, tati suldim de yena kapzangma dawajida koshagora, kapzkai zangma.
And so when we talk here about discipline and keeping the basis of good discipline, when we do that, if we're able to behave in a disciplined way, then it's like starting out with a clean cup. That's really important.
And the cup zangma de nala, ju sangbu, turba, samba, bomba, ju sangba, de nala luna, and yakushara yores.
And so if into that clean cup of discipline we put the very pure contents of listening and contemplating and meditating, then that itself is able to remain there in a very pure and clean way because the cup itself was clean to start with.
아니 때 롱제나 수불라 템바 저걸라 never 아니 아무튼 그래.
And if we enjoy that drink, then it's good for the body, nice for our stomach, and everything turns out very nicely, you know?
근데 그런 게 가리 페인지 라비였는데 딱딱 나랑 톱게.
And all of the benefits that they say about those things, we actually get them, no?
다디인데 학바도 아니 터바디 아주 라마게 꿈데네 톱고기 오래 개위신이 꿈네 톱고기 오래.
And so listening to the teachings is something that we must do. We must receive teachings from a spiritual teacher, from a guru. We must.
다 터바면나 삼일 가요 말로.
If we haven't learned anything, then we don't have anything to contemplate.
아니 터바면 삼바면나 다 다른 rumbu지 숨어나시거든요. 다 냠내지에 시기요 말에.
And without having listened to the teachings and contemplated them, just like Rinpoche said already this morning, we don't know how to practice. We don't know what to do.
되네 당랑주 상마 소남 첨보 깔와 상보.
We all have a lot of merit, and we're all incredibly fortunate.
되네 아주 장마 치기 튕겐 다 전남아 자고 가서간 폐거를 주중아 주나라 때 랩투기를 내발라 남줄에 팬데 랩투 깔래요 말에.
So, you know, we have all these incredible outer conditions that make things possible for us. You came from so many different countries, far, far away, and yet many of you could make it here within 5 or 6 hours in an airplane, even though you came from quite far.
엄마이나 다 로 아리네다 내발라 로 로구르게도라 그 가지고는 레투게 나면 하모가.
And in the past, right, from the US to here, might take years, a year, and whether you would even, you know, walking and then all these other methods of getting here, and whether you would even actually make it or not was questionable, no? In the past.
아니 엄마이나다 라마데서 가야 한국이요. 라마 싸야랑 망부거기요.
And in fact, in the past, you didn't even know where to find a teacher, right? Like, where would you even go? How could you, even just to find a teacher would be so difficult, actually, if you think about it. These days, you just and then you can find out everything you need to know. So that actually is a function of our merit. And we should know that that is merit. That is our merit.
Living life.
And so when we acknowledge our own merit and we're able to rejoice in that, it's very important because it gives us a feeling of really being alive, actually. Without that, if we don't have that kind of awareness, then yeah, maybe we just kind of feel like, what difference between me and a corpse? No?
아니, 되게 튕진 대답이 될라 나랑 그 rejoice 당 appreciate 제와 때네 뭐네 나랑라 최제라야 또와 전부 뽑아 전부
And when we acknowledge the merit that we have to have these positive circumstances, conducive circumstances for practicing, when we have appreciation for that fact, that inspires us to practice. We feel a sense of joy and confidence and encouragement, actually, to practice the Dharma when we can acknowledge that.
아니 검지 잡나 아주 샘들라 소름 만다지.
And then when we practice meditation, yeah, we feel somehow different. There is some change in our experience through practicing with that kind of attitude.
나랑라 지 간데 손남치부 검자이라서 섬지어디 검디 강 만다오지래요.
And when we really have the feeling, wow, what an amazing opportunity to be able to practice meditation, then that changes the quality of our meditation, right? The meditation itself becomes somehow different through that. And then our mind, actually, when we have that kind of inspiration and courage, that changes our own experience. And when we think about it like that, then actually we do have some hope of being able to improve. And if we don't have that kind of situation, then what happens from the beginning to we start the session, then the session ends, and then we didn't really change. Nothing really happened, yeah? And then tomorrow we do another session, and again we don't change. And then we don't make any improvement, we don't change, and then we're not getting anywhere, actually, in our practice. And when it comes to attaining Buddhahood, actually we have to gradually improve in order to eventually arrive at the state of awakening, no? That's the only way. And especially in the Vajrayana, we talk about attaining awakening in this life, in this very body, right? And so if we're not making any improvements within a year or two of practice, then the idea of Buddhahood in one lifetime becomes kind of difficult, no? And I really think, and this is, that like what Rinpoche also has said, the problem is not that we haven't received the instructions. It's not that we lack the instructions. That is not our problem. And so actually when we receive these kind of pith instructions, it's important that we realize how precious it is. We should really think to ourselves, I am so fortunate. I met a teacher like this. I got these kind of instructions. This is really amazing. These are really precious. And when we regard the teachings that we have as being that precious, then we don't want to waste them. And we won't waste them. And then we will practice. And then when we practice with that kind of inspiration and confidence, then we change. And in the best case scenario, we should be practicing all day long and all night long. That's best. But for beginning practitioners, that's a little bit difficult. And that's why for beginners, meditation sessions are really important. And in the best case scenario, we would be doing 6 sessions every day. That's a great practitioner who's doing that. Then, the second best would be to do 4 sessions every day. Then third best, 2 sessions a day.
다 시와되기 되네 튼치익치기어라.
And the fourth best, one session every day.
아니 타마되기 튼땅게요 말에.
And then the worst would be like we're not doing any. That's
올라서 다디인데 다 간다래 나도 나도 디인장 온라인라 당한쪽에 튼이 있어요.
And so for the online Tara program, we have 2 sessions each day. That's how we've made the program.
다 튼시디 지나다 참라우도는 모두 깔하고 인사로.
Doing 4 sessions a day is difficult unless one is in a retreat setting, right?
디인데 되는 아주 치단 최디 가와이나 제투결의 순걸 남아 삼먹게.
And all of the gurus actually teach us that we can practice the Dharma wherever we are.
디인데 아니 자 아주 다 차와 아니 나 같은 주다 지댕길래디 엄마를 디스탑되어래 제남바 아니 침바츠 되니 가소래 패밀리 요래 되니 내가 요래 라 디인데 되니 튼시디 땅에 깔하고요 나야 튼이디 다 땅투고요 다 스스로 다 데디케이션아.
And so for monks and nuns and ngakpas, these kind of people, it's not so difficult to find the time to practice because they don't have other work in their lives. But for people like you, if you're a householder practitioner, you have maybe a family and a job, and to find the time to do 4 sessions a day is maybe difficult in the midst of those responsibilities. But 2 sessions a day, if you're really dedicated, you can find the time for that. And usually the most convenient is in the morning and in the evening. Get up a little early in the morning. And then before you go to bed at night, do another session. And when you do the sessions, do it really well.
튼디 야부지 땅나 튼기 튼잠바르들라 되기게왜 박작디 숙천부 셈라 샤는데 말당 만다바다시 그 전시 봐야지 추기 나와도 용이요래.
And if you've done your session really well, then even after the session, actually, you will be more vigilant, attentive, mindful, careful, and this sense of the Dharma practice can be carried from the session into the rest of your daily activities in a way that is different from if you hadn't done that session.
아니 디 파자드마 락도 지드양 베디차르치 second session yang recharge.
And then the power of that gradually decreases through your day, and then you recharge the battery again with your second session.
사든데 신드니 간다야. 된 되지 천ang 아주 다나 약도.
And if we keep up that progression again and again and again, what happens is that we get better and better and better.
아니 디 남신에 되는 아주 가서래. 가르치 삼부 시담 땅 먹어지 개회 박자디 무튼이 되는다고.
And then eventually we come to a time where even without thinking so much about it, we have a very natural habit to engage in virtue. And it continues, actually, this kind of natural inclination towards virtue.
아니 낀 봐. 가르지 테나야 셈라 유럽 마태가 이제 차례.
And then eventually we come to a place where no matter what kind of difficult situation we encounter, it doesn't change our mind. And that's when we talk about arriving at the state of realization. And Milarepa said, realization is like space. It doesn't change. But in order to get there, we do meditation sessions, and we have to be really careful about our practice in those sessions.
내가 가르치고.
For this short life, how much difficulty do we undergo? How much study do we do? How much work do we do just for the benefit of things within this one short life? And we know that that's for me, and therefore knowing that, we somehow feel able to bear those difficulties. If it was for somebody else, yeah, we're probably not able to put forth so much effort. The Dharma is also for ourselves. But it's not just for one lifetime. It's for life after life after life. If we don't cut the root of samsara, if we don't cut through its root, samsara doesn't end. If we wanted to put into a heap the bones and flesh from the live, all of the births we have taken in samsara since the beginning, it would be bigger than Mount Meru. That's what the lamas say. And if we were to pull together the tears that we have cried from the suffering of all of our lives in samsara, it would overflow the ocean. Right? Even in this life, think about how many tears you've cried. As kids, we cry a lot, but even when we grow up, we still cry, no? Lots of tears. And as we get older and older, if we haven't really practiced, if we're not practitioners, we again have more and more cause to cry, just like kids, crying a lot, actually.
Physical sense emotional sensitive.
Physically, we shrink as we get older, right? And then our senses lose capacity, and then we're so emotional, right? This happens. And so then sometimes we have the feeling that all of these things that appear to us, they, like all of our experiences arise as enemies, actually. Sometimes it seems like that. And so we think, oh, everybody's like looking down on me, everybody's like saying bad things about me. Even if it's not happening in our minds, sometimes we end up with that feeling, don't we? And then we cry a lot. No? And so we've gone through that, right? For many lifetimes, we've done that. And now, this life, with this opportunity, if we don't practice, if we don't cut through the root of samsara now, then it's going to keep going, repeat on repeat, again and again and again. If we don't cut through its root, samsara will not end. We have to recite the 21 praises to Tara 7 times, repeating it 7 times. Don't we get so tired? Like, 7 times I have to repeat it. Well, think about how many times we've been repeating this samsaric experience. Quite many more times than that.
Yeah, we can see easily, like even Tuluku, Yangtze, those who've been in the previous very, like almost like Manjushri, and then reincarnation has to go through Gaga Kanga learning.
All of us, we're all like that.
lakwa tongwa tongjanji legi yoro, lakwa tongwa tongjanji.
We show up empty-handed in the world.
Ngoshi na jigi yoma, lakwa la pesha jigi yoma, tulo jigi yoma, kane sikje lapshi yoma. Dende sinta yang tangma reveal chokora.
Totally empty-handed. No money, no food, no clothes, not even a word that we can speak from our mouths. That's how we show up in this world, right? Again. And then if we don't cut the root of samsara, again and again and again. We show up like that. Isn't that difficult? Wouldn't it be tiring? Isn't it tiring to just keep doing that? So if we practice the Dharma, then we don't have to keep repeating that process. So it's like a long, like a lasting, stable, lasting food that will last for all of our lifetimes, a house that will last for all of our lifetimes, clothing for all of our lifetimes. That's what we're putting together here through practice. So when it comes to, like, should we put forth effort to do that, to practice in that way? Yes, definitely, of course. Right? That's the answer. Very clearly. So then we have to bring our mind to the state of naturalness and really be familiar. A practitioner is somebody who's able to think about what has happened in the past, what will happen in the future, and what's going on now. Being able to really think about that whole span of things. That's what a practitioner can do and does. And somebody who's not a practitioner, it's really kind of just like an animal. What's here right now, take it, eat it, enjoy it. And then, like, just here in the focusing on only what's going on right now. So if we think about what a person is, generally we say the definition of a person is somebody who can speak and understand what is said. And so we bring that mind into our state of naturalness, then actually everything can go quite well. But otherwise, when we don't remain in that state, then we just make so many mistakes again and again and again, don't we? And in the text it says, Dharma practitioners make mistakes, but they know that they've made mistakes. People who are not practitioners make mistakes without even being aware that it was wrong. So don't think that making mistakes is always bad, yeah? You don't have to think of it that way. And Tuku Urgyen Rinpoche said that for a practitioner, even more than positive circumstances, negative circumstances are like a siddhi, an accomplishment for us. In fact, sometimes when we have good circumstances, that becomes an obstacle for our practice. And bad circumstances actually aid in our practice. They can bring us accomplishment.
exciting shit much.
So don't get too excited when you end up in a good circumstance, okay?
Watch out,
Watch out.
Did the leg some
Be worried, like, okay, maybe, no, maybe some kind of like this, it could appear as an obstacle, a demon, yeah? Be careful, be careful.
Then, getting a batch of the depression and mandora, Canada,
And so when you end up in difficult circumstances, don't get too upset or depressed about it. Think, hey, this is my accomplishment. I got some accomplishments. You should think like that.
Oh, that did it in the
So then actually you get some benefit from that, some profit. And as practitioners, we have got to find something that's profitable here for us, no?
Do not do tech.
So if something good happens, if we're happy, we have to be able to take that, to carry that. And likewise, if we end up in a very difficult situation, we also have to be able to carry that, to take that. It's important. But in fact, for most of us, when good things happen, when we're happy, we can't deal with that. And then when bad things happen, then also we can't deal with that. And then we never get the opportunity to really have like a, tashide, like auspicious circumstances, positive auspicious circumstances kind of never happen for us. And for a practitioner, though, that's somebody, if they're in a positive circumstance, if good things happen, they can handle it, they can take it. If bad things happen, they can take it. And that means that there's some kind of stability, some kind of mental stability, some stable aspect that comes through our practice.
산이 배제지 로에 제시가 되는 배제 로고 상승다 지지 조성 되니 강원주 다 되는 뭐 망지 공부요래 다 간다래 튼튼디 되니 저고디 뒤지다 장가데 좀 많이 봐 저고디 다 비타고 셔야 내 전부셔 자기요다.
So let's see, I guess our topic was really supposed to be the Treasure of Blessings text. We didn't really get to that today, so maybe we'll open it up and get into it tomorrow, the text itself, but that's okay. One thing that it's important to know, and I think most of you know this, when we talk about doing a meditation session, what's most important is not like doing the session for X number of minutes, the time. That's not what's important. What's most important is really doing the practice in a genuine way.
Tene 다 배샤나 수수 다 딕스 초가 차련나 검시다고 여건지나 다 직 초바 샤메 전소에 내 전부 셔다래 초바 전소에 샴.
And if you're familiar a little bit with this kind of sadhana and ritual practices, then it's very good to, and it's very important actually, to set out offerings for the practice. And so do that, if you know how to do that. So if in the place where we do our meditation, we are able to place representations of the awakened body, speech, and mind, then it's really good to do that.
아주 산지 구제나 산지 구 무수 슈바당 쳐밤매고 되는 차기요.
And when we have these images of awakened body, speech, and mind, it's very important that, like if we have a statue, for example, that we fill the statue properly, and especially that we have it consecrated by a real master. Because if a genuine master consecrates an image, let's say it's an image of the Buddha, then once it has been consecrated, actually having that statue is identical to having the Buddha present in front of us once it's been consecrated by a truly powerful teacher. And then that statue then becomes the samaya form of the support for the samaya. The statue is the samaya being in this case, and then when the teacher consecrates it, he or she brings the wisdom beings into that samaya being, which is the image, and they mingle indivisibly and remain. And actually just the image itself, whether it's made of wood, whether it's made of metal, whatever it's made of, that image, speaking honestly, it is never anything other than emptiness. And so that's actually the sense when we talk about the samaya being. The samaya means to never go beyond something. And this image, no matter what it's made of, it never goes beyond the state of remaining as emptiness. And when a genuine teacher consecrates that image, bringing in, inviting in the wisdom beings, in fact, really, truly, genuinely, that image is the Buddha. Just like the Buddha walked into my house, just like that, he's right there.
Positive energy feeling.
And so then that image will give us a positive energy feeling. But whether or not I receive blessings from that depends on my own trust and devotion. In the sadhana itself, actually, this sadhana, the Treasury of Blessings, it's mentioned, whoever has trust and faith, the Buddha is present for that person and receive his blessings. They receive his blessings. It's mentioned actually in our text. And the Buddha himself said that. And the Buddha doesn't lie, right? And when we have the trust and the confidence that this image here that I have, this statue, is the Buddha, he's really truly there, then we receive blessings through that, and then our meditation actually is improved through those blessings.
Tradition da wu cheba na din shamnare temana yana medo yana ne marmedo la soba susu karela meba denzoji funa teladen sonamji sagar.
And then in front of that image, if we would like, we can place the traditional 7 offerings, but even if not that, whatever is beautiful, whatever we like, flowers, a lamp, something that we find beautiful and that we want to offer, if we place those offerings in front of that image, then through the practice of making those offerings, we gain merit. And it's said that a person who has merit is able to accomplish his or her aims. So if someone has merit, then they're able to do what they want to accomplish.
학벌도 가서 최야고 제대로 소남지고요.
Especially in order to be able to practice the Dharma well, we have to have merit.
미망불라 최최 매바 열어대 가디나지 발제지라 가디나 즉 튕전지 맞점지 드링 양 미지가라 개땅서 드링 상이려가 최최 매바 열어대 된대지 겐지기 최최마도 하고 된디 최최들라야 손남지고 요래스.
So sometimes people really have an interest in doing Dharma practice, but always some kind of condition carries them away. So they really want to, but then, today somebody called me and I have to do this, and then tomorrow I've got this other thing that I've got to do. They have the interest, they really want to, but it seems like there's always some kind of condition that's getting in the way. What is that all about? Well, we have to have merit. In order to practice, to be able to practice, we have to have merit.
retreat program jara tite takta digital tata government gyang paper chid do odin yunguda like it's my experience, yeah. And when we have 1 month retreat, 3 month retreat, always some people have always problem in the middle of retreat. They have something to do for paper, government paper or something, you know. That is how much that go parjijirada. That the mi 정말 디 뭡니다. 가시 용거도. that is 문에 최치엘라 선음지 거르세 문에 당가 내 되거든.
Yeah. And that kind of thing happens. It's an obstacle, right? If you're trying to practice and then something comes up, that's an obstacle. And that happens. It doesn't happen to everybody. It happens sometimes for some people. And really, when it comes to practice, to actually have the circumstances and the conditions to be able to practice, we can't do it without merit. We have to have merit.
다 미가시 잔득 시라 최고문도 항아 로숨 촉숨 도기 스삼 지라 남상 도투조 미가시 미즈거란 로숨 촉숨 도 잔득 지세 대간 찍찍 라가 마산이 미즈건 삼도 못게 요.
You know, there's also sometimes some people who they get the idea, I want to do a 3-year retreat. Everything comes together, boom, they did a 3-year retreat. Other people spend their entire life planning to do a 3-year retreat and never manage to do it the whole life, right? It happens like that sometimes.
Some problem with the parents, need to take care of parents. And then suddenly parent pass away, then another things happen. Then slowly collapse, their cell body start to collapse. That in the 아니 손남스데 네첨보래 데인디 푸에 야첨부고 고요말 미디엔도 비체 수수기 셈네 망부 뚫니 푸나 아니 검지 잡나 검게 발제사에 닉집장에 최네 멍발라야 무튀니 검자에 냠년체기 튠전제 조용데 딘돌라양 남메 지메체요 말이야 양 수수 셔라 춘이 인더스면나 양 칼리칼리 야제 땅을 부시나 리마다 양 매바 여신도 낭매 지도 이런 맞아 삽삽지.
So merit is really important, actually. So when you do practice like this, make offerings. It's a really good way to accumulate merit, and it's important that we do that, right? When you have the circumstance and you have the ability to set forth some offerings, and it doesn't have to be super extensive and vast. It can be simple, and then with your mind, you imagine actually that it is extensive. You mentally emanate more offerings than you have actually set out there. But making offerings and having that kind of attitude of wanting to make offerings and making the prayer that with these offerings that my meditation will go well, that the obstacles to the meditation are cleared away, and that I will be able to have the circumstances to be able to continue to practice. This is really important, having that kind of attitude when you make offerings. And I'm not trying to, if you don't have any inclination at all ever to make an offering, I'm not trying to push and force, but if you have, sometimes it happens that you actually are inclined to do it, but then you just kind of leave it to the side. Don't think of it as being something that's not so important, and you don't do it, even though you actually do have some inclination to do it. So I'm saying if you have that inclination, really you should use it, go for it, because it's really not something to sideline. It's something that really makes a difference, accumulating merit in that way.
So
merit is, in this way, it's like a result, right?
And
the cause that brings about the result of merit is virtue. Virtue is the cause that brings about the result, merit.
양양 다 리피트 아든지 semna 박작 샤이저로 어딜라 속삭방 겨와신다요.
So we talk about gathering the accumulations, accumulating merit, right? And gaining virtue. And the way that we do this actually is again and again and again, repeatedly bringing to mind these kind of positive attitudes, virtuous attitudes, again and again and again, cultivating that virtue. Then through that, we are able actually to gather merit. And I just remembered before Lama was mentioning when we make offerings, another thing that we should pray is that we are able to gain merit and also to purify our negativities, our obscurations, and then to be able to continue to practice.
게비 박작 망보디 상나 데부 카리요레 소남요레.
So what is the result that comes from gathering a lot of virtuous habits, gathering the habit of virtue and doing a lot of virtue? The result of that is merit. So what is merit?
리기 미게베 군도 망보디 매바서 그래 세도 그래 좀도 그래.
So what does merit mean? What's it like? Khenpo Ngakchung says that merit, the word in Tibetan is sunam, and here the word su has the sense of getting rid of, destroying. And so what is merit? It is destroying a lot of non-virtuous habits. That's one aspect of it.
미게베 군도 망보디마 좀나 가르쳐 그래서 남 렉베차 연대차의 연도래.
And so when we have destroyed, overcome a lot of negative aspects, what happens? Then the second syllable nam, which has the sense of this coming together of virtuous circumstances, positive things come together. So destroying the negative and bringing together the positive.
근데 그것도 춘이래고 개별 군도 망보디 사는데 미개 군도들 라신 누바냐메도 그 춘이래로.
And actually that's just the nature of things. If you do a lot of virtuous actions and a lot of virtuous deeds, you accumulate a lot of virtue, then quite naturally a lot of negative things go away. That's just how it works, no?
대인데다 어떠니 가서래 공부를 수원하신 개완디 기부 소남이시 초존 소남이시래 좀 담바꾼이 터바셔서 공수물에 좀제 내침부 차려로.
And that's why, as Nagarjuna said, by this merit, may all beings gather the accumulations of merit and wisdom, and may they attain the sacred two kayas that result from that merit and wisdom.
근데 만주 다 대다고 하거나 마도야 속사야스디 내 전부 임부지 하고 마도 망부양 속삭스디인지 미지잘라식 대지라
And if we understand that, then it's important because then we have some sense of what is meant by gathering the accumulations and accumulating merit and why it's important and what it is. Otherwise, sometimes we get tired of it. We think like, oh, it just means like giving something, and that's what merit is, like giving something, putting something somewhere. And then it becomes like tiresome, actually, if we understand it that way.
Generally, giving is very nice. That means you don't need to take care, yeah?
Like, for example, if I have a car and I give it to somebody else, then I don't have to like take care of the car anymore, right? That's nice.
So we don't have duty for cleaning, putting oil, and the tax, insurance, all these things, and they're worried when will be damaged, or somebody will steal, or somebody will shoot down, and all. They worry someone lot to understand that. And the setter like that, relief healthy day na habit.
So actually that brings us a lot of like relief from worries to do that, no? So in some sense it's kind of like life release, like just releasing it, and then it should be like really great, but we don't do that so much because we have such a strong habit, no, to not do that, to hold on to things.
Nor moderla dungal moderers in the size of
So when we have a certain amount of a car's amount of wealth, then we have a car's worth of worries of suffering. Also, no, it's like that. So actually it should be that if we just give that away, we get rid of all those worries, it should be very nice, but we don't have that habit. We have the habit of holding on, so then we have this idea like giving it away actually is painful for us, in fact.
So, but now we understand the merit, virtues, is not really truly connected with the materials. Actually, when we have things material, we cling. It's mine, and then you already feels your responsibility. Then in all the 10 directions, it's like targeting, yeah, and you get suffer. So it's actually the good part. People not easy, so but then
But if we can even just mentally offer it, we can gain merit.
Or all this topic came because of the altar. So it's not just tradition. It's also some kind antidote method. So it's not useless or pointless. Gom jaugore gomde laga nechimbu chagiyora o laga nechimbu jina de la chandik tagonde yakuj kogiyora.
So when we meditate, meditation is actually a really important activity. And so when we're doing something that's really important, it's also important that we prepare for it well. If we want to eat a tasty meal, we have to do a lot of preparation to make that happen, don't we? So then if we're going to do a meditation session, then it's important that we also prepare for that, right? And so if you can, make these kind of preparations, setting out the offerings and so on. Okay, that's our...
올라서 테니 산이기 afternoon scheduling 야고 하고 마송 아니 계속 무튼이 시고고요나 아니 산이 단다 더 투족이 잡쳐져로 데나마 딕스 메바르 버지 등의 딕스 로고 아니 아주 롱나야 벤 지갑 친구도 대셔 잡고 말하고 치코데우도 아니 딕스 말로다 차선도 로투 말아 지금 때말 1,200 then
So I'm not sure precisely what the program is for tomorrow afternoon, but presuming that we continue with this same program in the afternoon, then what I would like to do tomorrow is to read to you some of the this text by Mipa Rinpoche that is kind of the supportive teachings for this sadhana. Obviously, we can't read the whole thing because it's more than 1,000 pages long, but maybe 5 or 6 pages, I think would actually be really of great benefit just to read that. Even I don't have to explain it even because it's so clear. I think that would be very helpful, so I'd like to do some of that tomorrow afternoon.
So please enjoy seminar. Some of you are also first time in Nepal, so don't do like you are tourists, okay? Then all your energy of seminar will be disappear. So just feel you came only for seminar, not for sightseeing. Then you can listen very well teaching from Rinpoche. It's opportunity, yeah? When you have opportunity, you need to use opportunity. Opportunity is not all the time. Only when we say opportunity, only sometimes, no? So then, when you go back home, you will go with happy. Otherwise, you think your first time and you go here, there, and taking pictures, photos, and then your mind is, even your body is in the teaching session, but your mind is hanging around stupa area, and then you are not really listening well, and you not really get it exact what Rinpoche is really trying to give you. He's trying, because he knows you all came from all the different corners, and he know you all came also giving so many important tasks and find solution that you could come here for 10 days or 2 weeks. And so your time limited, and many of you also have financially also very limited. So you cannot come again also regularly. So thereby Rinpoche trying to give all the important key points, and so key points can come anytime, anytime. My Rinpoche gives some time little bit like kind commercial teachings, little bit make joke, and suddenly can come important key point, So thereby, if your mind is always not in teaching hall or teaching session, your space out, you will gonna miss that. So thereby, your mind has to be, Rinpoche mentioned, with pure motivation. And the best teaching say you listen with 6 paramita. First make aspiration bodhicitta, and then you listen with 6 paramita, and then you will get everything what you say. And since your mind is totally there, you get all instruction in your heart, not in brain. And then you have opportunity to pump up. Otherwise, half listening, half here and there, you don't get teachings complete. And then you came here with big expectation, big hope. And then it's not going to happen. And then you're going with dissatisfied. Dissatisfied or unhappy. So everything in your hand. What Buddha said, Tangama kache tade lula das, chima kache tade lela te sungara. Tangara nangla kibushin, kabushin do madrode, chedindi yabus nyamanya. To risk now much.
The Buddha said, if you want to know what you did in the past, if you want to know about your past actions, look at your present body. And if you want to know about your future circumstance, then look at your present actions. So keep that in mind. And when you're here in the teaching session, really Stick to the teaching session. Don't let your mind wander around here and there. Really receive the Dharma teachings, and then you'll really get something out of it.
최대 인도야고 신년나 최년바 냠내체 참아 냠도 차기.
If you listen to the teachings really, really genuinely very well, then listening to the teachings itself becomes practice for you, actually.
되네 최제년 참제 지기도 냠더라 지제 냠차되기요.
And so then you're receiving the teachings and practicing doing retreat as well.
학과도 라마 자첨부들 라마 나온가라 문에 나야군이나 문에 동배 공주 파일라 배 찬스 첨부요.
And especially when in the presence of a genuinely realized teacher, we are receiving these kind of really profound instructions, if we're listening very carefully, there's a big chance that the wisdom, the genuine wisdom of the lineage of realization can be transferred into our own experience. That opportunity is there.
라마 찍라 로마 자요래 당마 찍난 거를 로마 림바만라마 보여.
One teacher gives a single instruction to 100 students, and there's many, many, many different experiences from the side of the students. Right? The highest caliber of student, middle caliber, lower caliber, it's different. Even it's the same instruction from the teacher. And of course, from the teacher's side, there's zero bias when it comes to the students, none at all. But actually, from our side as the students, whether we're listening well or not, carefully or not, that actually changes, right? We put ourselves at a different level depending on how much we're paying attention.
가져도 야구 맞춰봐 고수 상와 된 야구 종의 제숨 상관에 냥고래.
So we really need to attend the teachings, the whole thing, from the beginning to end, without missing anything, and really, in a genuine way, listen with the appropriate preliminaries, main part, and concluding part of the practice.
알았어, 다 들은데 참시하셔.
So we'll stop here today.
장주 zemjo Rinpoche maje banan jinju je geba nyamba mebaya kone konto pe barasho gewan di ge sona yeje zozo ne sona yeje le tamba gonye do barasho sonam di tamje sebanye tamne nye be danam ban jega na je baladu Sibe zole drova sho